probably seen this sentence hundreds of times on mutual fund brochures, investor websites, advertisements. Everyone has them on their disclaimers and warnings. Jerry Seinfeld once joked that dry clean only is the only warning label that people actually pay attention to. In the investing world, that reads as, past performance is not indicative of future performance. Regulators require investment companies to put it in there. Some gray fine print at the bottom of the page, almost designed to be ignored. It's easy to dismiss as just legal boilerplate, and I think that's a mistake, because this might be one of the single most important things on the entire document. And if you misunderstand what that sentence actually means, or your advisor speaks dismissively of it, you're probably in a worse spot and you're going to make bad decisions because of it. It's a shame that the industry leaves one of the most important lessons in fine print and rarely gives it the attention it deserves. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the investment that performed best over the last decade is often one of the worst reasons to buy it today, and why that disclaimer has been warning us all along. Imagine I show you 5 investment funds over the last 10 years. One returned 18%, one 14, one 10, one returned 8, and the other returned 5%. Which one would you buy? Most people instinctively point to the one that said 18%. That feels logical. But now let me ask you a different question. Which one has the highest probability of being the best performer over the next 10 years? Notice what happens? Those aren't the same question. One asks what happened. The other asks what's most likely to happen. History and probability. Those aren't the same thing. This is one of the easiest ways that investors get accidentally misled. Someone asks, what kind of return should I expect going forward? Instead of answering that question, they're handed a brochure showing what it did over the last 10 years. That sounds reasonable, but there's a subtle substitution that has taken place. You asked, what should I expect? They answered, well, here's what happened. Or, here's what our portfolios have done. Those are completely different conversations. Historical returns are evidence. They're not forecasts. Somewhere along the way, people started confusing one for the other. So why is the disclaimer printed on every investment advertisement? Because the industry has spent decades studying this one fascinating question. Not just who wins, there's actually a name for it. It's called persistence. Not performance, persistence. Because if yesterday reliably predicted the future, investing would be incredibly easy. We'd all just pick yesterday's winners, or the funds with the best track records. But that's exactly what the disclaimer is quietly warning us not to assume. The people at S&P Dow Jones study this question every year. Many advisors are familiar with the SPIVA scorecard, and I think most investors should be too. It measures how active managers, people that are paid to select stocks and bonds on other people's behalf, actually perform against their benchmark over time. The results aren't particularly compelling. They're dismal. In Canada, only 1.18% of managers outperformed the TSX over the last 10 years. But there's another report that's even more interesting. It's the SPIVA persistence scorecard. Instead of asking who won, it asks what happened next. Among the managers who outperformed, how many stayed there? The answer surprised me. Historically, screening for yesterday's top performing managers has been remarkably poor at identifying the future top performers. In fact, the persistence has been worse than random chance would even suggest. Think about it for a second. Flipping a coin was found to be more predictive at finding the top managers than the top managers just continuing to be top managers. So the disclaimer wasn't exaggerating. It was telling the truth all along. That's the challenge. Being exceptional once isn't the same as staying exceptional. Markets change, economics change, valuations change, technology changes. The themes of yesterday aren't the themes of tomorrow. Yesterday's winners often become tomorrow's average performers, or they become tomorrow's absolute losers. If yesterday's winners rarely stay winners, maybe we're asking the wrong question. Instead of trying to predict tomorrow's winners, maybe we should build portfolios that don't depend on predicting the future perfectly. That's exactly what index funds do. At first, it sounds counterintuitive. How can something that isn't trying to beat the market end up outperforming so many professionals over long periods? Because index funds don't have to guess tomorrow's winners. They simply have to make sure they already own them. All the winners, all the losers, and everything in between. That's how they work. In a sense, it's like owning every one of those rare managers who eventually does outperform its peers with a small fee attached instead. It's remarkably durable as a strategy. Take XIC, the iShares S&P TSX ETF. Over the last 10 years, it's the 13th percentile of Canadian funds, beating so many of its peers after costs while not trying to beat them at all. Now, none of this means that active management has no place. There are some exceptional managers out there. Some will outperform over meaningful periods. The challenge isn't proving that they exist. The challenge is identifying them in advance, and then correctly identifying who will continue to outperform. Those are completely different questions, and history suggests that the odds of getting both right are exceptionally small. If someone is using historical returns to convince you that similar returns are likely to continue, or that one investment is therefore superior to another, they're asking you to draw a conclusion. The very conclusion that the disclaimer itself warns you not to draw. We started today with the sentence that people never read. Printed in tiny gray font, buried at the bottom of brochures. Easy to ignore. But maybe it deserves to be in the headline instead. Because if you truly understand these words, You'll never look at investment marketing in the same way again. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. It's not just legal in print, it's one of the most important things in investing. I'm Cameron Smith. This is Clarify Wealth. Thanks for watching.